This might be one of my craziest theories yet, but I think I know what really happened to the island called God Valley. And yes, it's possible that Sengoku partially lied when he said God Valley was destroyed. What if I told you God Valley still exists, and we already know where it is? Please stay until the end. It will all connect perfectly with Rocks, Whitebeard, Kaido, Blackbeard, and even Ace. Let's start from the most obvious. All the information about God Valley's destruction comes from Sengoku, who said, "The island of God Valley is no longer drawn on the maps of the world." And according to him, God Valley disappeared without a trace. But how is that even possible? It's a bit suspicious to trust Sengoku's words completely. After all, he's a government subordinate, and we all know how the world government hides the truth. Still, something definitely happened to God Valley, but I don't think it involved an ancient weapon. So, what happened to it, and where is it now? Here's my theory. God Valley and Banaro Island are actually the same place. It sounds unbelievable, I know, but let me explain. Let's start with the destruction of God Valley. In the recent chapters, Imu finally arrives on the island, turns Roxy's people into demons, and possesses Saturn. At that point, we witness the absolute peak of battle. All the top legends of that era, Rox, Whitebeard, Kaido, Roger, Big Mom, and Garp, all of them fighting together. These were the strongest people in history trying to defeat Imu, a being who, in truth, wasn't even there in her real form. Even with all that power, it seemed impossible. Imu was too strong. She even possessed Rox himself. So, even with Saturn and Rox under her control, the combined might of the greatest legends in the world couldn't defeat Imu. Now imagine this. Imu has Rox on her side, and possibly the ability to domi-reverse others as well. At that point, there's no one left who could defeat her. Even if Garp and Roger teamed up and managed to take down Rox, Imu would still remain untouched, and there would be no real victory. And this is where Whitebeard destroying the island starts to make sense. God Valley is made up of two massive rock formations, with a valley between them, hence the name God Valley. The celestial dragons even mocked the name, saying it was blasphemy to call it the God Valley, since they saw themselves as the true gods. Visually, it's almost as if two hands are meeting in prayer, reaching toward the heavens. No wonder Xebec chose the name Rocks. It was likely his way of hiding his true identity as a member of the Devi lineage. Now, what devil fruit does Whitebeard possess? The Gura no Mi, earthquake fruit, a power capable of creating devastating earthquakes. Think back to Marineford and the chaos it caused there. Even Sengoku's reaction to Whitebeard using that power says it all. He called it the power to destroy the world. Could that line have been more literal than we realized? Could it have referred not just to the destruction of God Valley, but even to Imu herself, the world that Rox once spoke of? What if, during the battle at God Valley, Whitebeard went all out and unleashed his full power, shattering the entire island with his devil fruit? That would explain why Garp and Sengoku both reacted the way they did to the Gura no Mi. Garp had seen it firsthand, and Sengoku had heard what Whitebeard once did, how he crushed the very rocks of God Valley. And think about it, if Imu represents darkness and is called the world, do you remember what Oda called Whitebeard during Marineford? His names on manga opening panels were the White Monster and the Man Who Shook the World. And Imu throughout the flashback of God Valley is constantly referred with exactly the same names, Monster and World. Same references as Whitebeard, but one is the Abyss, another one has White in name. The only way to stop Imu at that point would have been something extreme. Something powerful enough to literally destroy the island by crushing its mountains. It's thematically fitting too, rocks being crushed by the rocks of God Valley. And this also connects perfectly to why Blackbeard betrayed Whitebeard. Sure, it could have been for his devil fruit, but I think it goes far deeper than that. Look at Blackbeard's actions. He defeated Ace, the son of Roger. He captured Garp, likely planning to use him in some way, maybe even a public execution. He killed Ochoku, who betrayed Rocks, and took Hachinosu from him. He scarred Shanks and seems determined to kill him, likely because of Shanks' connection to the Figureland family. All of these individuals are linked to the tragedy of Rocks and God Valley. They represent everyone Blackbeard blames for his homeland's destruction and his father's death. And Whitebeard? Just like the others, I think Blackbeard held a grudge against him for destroying his homeland, or perhaps believing he was responsible for Rox's death. If that's true, then it's entirely in character for Blackbeard to kill Whitebeard out of revenge. Now, let's move to the second part. No matter how destructive Whitebeard's devil fruit is, the Gura Gura no Mi doesn't erase islands the way an ancient weapon would. It's an earthquake fruit. It breaks and shifts, but it doesn't annihilate. So even after the devastation, the island of God Valley could still have physically existed. And here's the twist. I believe God Valley was moved from the West Blue to the Grand Line by none other than Kaido himself. Sounds insane, right? But think about it. Onigashima is literally an island inside Wano. To visualize this, imagine Wano as Japan, a collection of smaller islands. Kaido picked up one of those smaller islands and planned to drop it on the flower capital. But what if this wasn't the first time he tried such a thing? Maybe the idea that Kaido could move entire islands came from something he had already done. Perhaps, as a loyal disciple of Rocks, he wanted to preserve his captain's legacy. What if Kaido actually picked up what remained of God Valley and dragged it all the way from the West Blue to the Grand Line? It's not impossible, considering Kaido's immense strength. And this isn't even the first or only case of islands being moved from one place to another. Remember, part of Jaya was blasted into the sky and nobody knew where it went. And Ors. The giant whose frozen body was possessed by Moria was literally called the Continent Puller. He was known for physically moving islands across the seas. Also, God Valley and Banaro Island look almost identical. If you remove the massive mountains, the resemblance becomes obvious. But there's another major clue we can follow: the name itself. Banaro is short for Banana Rocks. Think about it. Rocks probably took his name directly from the rocks of God Valley. And if you're wondering why that island looks so familiar, it's because Banaro Island is where Ace and Blackbeard fought. One is the son of Goldie Roger, and the other, the son to Rocks, the Xebec. Their battle wasn't just a random clash. It symbolized the eternal fight between light and darkness, just like the one that took place at God Valley. If you think about it, the fight between Ace and Blackbeard is one of the most important duels in the entire story of One Piece. So why would such a monumental event take place on some nameless, insignificant island like Banaro? There has to be a reason, and if my theory is right, it's because Banaro Island is God Valley itself. The truth is, Ace and Blackbeard knew each other very well when they both served on Whitebeard's ship. When Blackbeard killed Thatch and fled, Ace ignored everyone's pleas and decided to seek revenge himself, beginning his personal hunt for Blackbeard. The world of One Piece is vast, and at that time, Blackbeard had no reputation. Remember when Lafitte introduced him to Sengoku and the Shichibukai? No one even knew who Blackbeard was. So, even if Ace asked around, nobody could tell him where Blackbeard had gone, because no one knew. Yet somehow, Ace managed to follow Blackbeard's exact trail, visiting every location connected to him. How? Because he knew Blackbeard's past and searched the places tied to it. If you followed the cover page stories, you might remember the one featuring Ace's search for Blackbeard. In the cover story, he meets a fake Blackbeard who turns out to be a doctor, and that island is where he met Moda. Yes, the same Moda from Lulusia. And Lulusia, as we know, is where Aris Blackbeard's mother was from. That's why Ace was in Lulusia. He believed Blackbeard might return there. Ace also traveled to Drum Island, and we know Blackbeard had also been searching for something there. Eventually, the two finally met on what appeared to be a completely random island called Banaro Island. But what was Blackbeard doing there? Could it be that he was visiting his hometown? The place that once was God Valley? And did Ace somehow realize that Banaro Island was the remnant of God Valley, choosing to confront him there? It would be thematically perfect if, in his rage, Blackbeard ended up destroying Banaro Island during that fight, just like the tragedy that befell God Valley. And if we look closely at the comments of the island's natives, they literally said, "The banana rocks are moving." I know, this theory stretches things a bit, but there's a strong chance that either Whitebeard destroying God Valley or Kaido moving it across the map could turn out to be true. And honestly, the fandom will lose it if we ever see Kaido moving the entire island from the West Blue to the Grand Line. Anyway, I was actually working on a completely different video, but I decided to split it into two parts. The next one is almost finished and should be uploaded sometime next week. If you made it to the end, please like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you for watching.